Welcome back. So in this video we are now going to create our private subnet. Okay, so I will navigate to VPC, and from VPC I will go to subnet, and from subnet I will now create a private subnet. So the same lab VPC, and the name will be private subnet. Availability zone, the US East 1A, and the CIDR will be 10.0.1.0/24. I'll create the subnets now. So I'll come here and draw my subnet. So this is what we currently have, okay? And for the private subnet to have internet connection, we'll need to create a NAT gateway and place it in the public subnet, okay? And we'll then configure a route table to allow internet bound traffic to be routed to the internet gateway, to the NAT gateway. And then this NAT gateway will take advantage of the internet access in the private subnet to grant internet access to our private subnet. So let's go ahead and create a NAT gateway. So we'll navigate to NAT gateways and we'll create a NAT gateway. We'll name it lab NAT gateway, and the subnet should be in the public subnet. The connectivity should be public. If it is private, we won't be able to give it an IP so that it will even be reached via the internet. So it should be public, and it will allocate an elastic IP for it, okay, and we'll create a NAT gateway. So once this NAT gateway is created, we'll go back to our route tables and create a route table, and we'll name it private route table. We'll select the VPC, that is our lab VPC, and you click on create, and we'll now go to the route and edit the route, add routes, and we'll say take all internet bound traffic and send it to our NAT gateway, and this NAT gateway is our lab NAT gateway. So I'll save changes, and for subnet associations I'll edit the subnet associations and attach it to the private subnet now. Great. So now we have configured a NAT gateway, put it in our public subnet, and we now have configured our route table to route internet bound traffic to the NAT gateway, and we have associated this NAT gateway to our private subnet. So let's go back to our drawing, and currently this is what we have. Okay, so I'll change this to private, and I'll change this to public. I'll go back and then edit them. Great. And let me do, so we have a NAT gateway here, right? And the name is lab NAT gateway. So this is the architecture that we currently have, okay? I'll go back to the route table, and I'll edit the first one that we associated with the, let me rename this, correct this name, and this one will now be our public route table. Awesome. So now that we have our architecture in place, we have our private subnet created, we have configured a route table for it, we have our lab NAT gateway also in our public subnet that is granting internet access to our private subnet. Let's go and then create an EC2 instance for the private subnet. Now launch an instance from here. So the name will be what? Private instance, okay? So private instance, and we'll leave everything as it is. For key pair, we are going to create a new key pair, so to prevent compromising our bastion host. So So we don't want to use the same key pair for our bastion host, right? I mean, we don't want to use the same key pair as our bastion host, so we'll create a new key pair for this private instance, and I'll just name it VOK2, and I'll download the PPK. For this one, I'll use a different utility called putty for this one, so I'll create the key pair, and once that is created, it's also downloaded for you, so you can see my key is created for me and then downloaded. So for network settings, I'll do lab VPC, and yes, I'll place it in the private subnet. That's correct. I'll disable auto assign of IP address, and for security group, I'll say private security group, and I'll say allow bastion host access. Great. So for the inbound, yes, we'll allow inbound SSH, but this time it's custom, and the source is the security group of our bastion host. Okay, so this bastion SG. Great. We'll leave everything as it is, and then we'll launch our instance. Okay, so the launch has been initiated. So what I'll do is I'll end this video here, and I'll see you in the next video for demonstration on how to connect to our private instance through our bastion host. So see you.